Hello, work life warriors. I hope you're doing well. Today, I just wanted to stop past and talk about stress management. Stress is one of those things that everybody know what it is, and yet nobody knows what it is. We kind of use stress as a universal term for when we're not feeling well on the inside. And depending on what you believe about stress, is exactly what it is. So, I want to talk about two studies. One was a study with over 30,000 adults in the US for 8 years. They wanted to know how if what you think about stress matters. The results were people who experienced a lot of stress in the previous year and believed it was harmful to their health had a 43% increased risk of dying. People who experienced a lot of stress but did not view it as harmful had the lowest risk of dying than any other study, including people with relatively little stress. So that was very interesting. Basically, the study is telling you what you think about stress matters. If you think the stress is hurting you, it is hurting you. If you think the stress is preparing you to rise to the challenge to find a solution, then it's helpful to you. Too much stress at one time is bad overall in the long run. But what you think about stress really does matter. Another study wanted to know if the mind over matter impacts whether reappraising stress induced arousal could improve cardiovascular outcomes and decrease the attentive bias for emotional negative information. In this study, they re educated their participants to think that their stress response was helpful. They told them that their physical responses are preparing their actions. Thinking of stress as helpful improved their performance because they were less stressed out, less anxious, and more confident. In addition, their physical response to stress changed. So we know that you can build resilience from stress. And the more that you practice something, you're less stressed about it because you have muscle memory. And so, if you kind of or if you're in a stressful situation and you think the signs that you're experiencing, like the physical symptoms that you're experiencing, are bad for you, you will misread them and they will affect how you perform. But if you think of them as helpful and you continue to think of them as helpful, they will improve your performance. And it'll also improve your physical stress response to it, which means that after continually doing this particular thing, your body responds to it as if it was not stressed out, which is very beneficial. You want your body to respond to stress in a way that helps propel you instead of hinder you, or makes you feel like you're rising to the challenge as opposed to it taking away from what it is that you're trying to do. And I really wish that we reevaluate and change the way that we look at stress. Stress is not necessarily a bad thing. It's your perception of stress and the way you cope with stress that makes it bad and or good, or not really bad or good, healthy for you or bad for you. And so if we all can just stop and recognize when our body is under stress, recognize the symptoms. There's so many symptoms. If you can recognize exactly what your body do under stress, like me, I tend to get knots in my stomach. My palms tend to sweat if I'm stressed out. But once I recognize I'm in that state, then I know that whatever is triggering me can be managed. And then I can begin to shift my mindset about the whatever experience that I'm in so that I can relax. And so stress is very, very good for you. If you think it's good for you, it can prepare you to be your best self, to do what it is that you need to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be a hindrance. We have many stressors in life, everyday stressors. You can learn to manage those stressors. You can turn those stressors into things that don't stress you. You can actually take stressors and make them fun. You don't necessarily have to um, focus on controlling what you can't control, but focus more so on changing what you can control, which is kind of like the Serenity poem. Any person can take a stressful situation and make it fun. You can take a challenging situation and make it fun. It just depends on your perspective about the problem. And without the lack of information, or with the lack of information, we don't necessarily develop the skill set that we can to address the stress, to meet it at its level and use it to help propel us. So I hope that this helps, and I hope it changes the way you think about stress. Stress is and can be good for you. It just has to be managed, and you can learn to do so. There's tips, tools, and techniques everywhere to turn your distress into your stress. Have a great day, work life warriors. I hope this helps.